Hello to YouTube. I want to talk about elevations, tape measures, estimations and observer heights. There has been a lot of debate about the various elevations along this piece of coastline, which is near the town of St Bees on the Cumbrian coast, and gives good views across the Irish Sea towards the Isle of Man and to the south to some wind farms. Anthony Riley is the person who has made particular claims. He has been backed up in those claims by Ranty, his friend, and by Nathan Oakley, who runs a debate channel, Flat Earth Debates. Some of the claims that they have made have been vague, and I'm not trying to misrepresent anybody here. What I'm trying to do is establish some truth. So Anthony Riley published a video back in October, which was shot, as far as I can make out, from a location about here on the cliffs. He claims that this is 35 feet. That claim has to be incorrect. Anthony claims to have used Google Earth, and Google Earth shows this point here, which is the point I was aiming at. Google Earth gives a height at that point of 11 meters. And if we put in 11 meters, convert it to feet, we get 36 feet. So does that mean Anthony was accurate in claiming an elevation of 35 feet? Well, no, it doesn't, because that is the elevation given on Google Earth to a datum which effectively is at average sea level, and the tide was out when Anthony took his video. And so there must be some other height to add for the drop between average sea level and the actual sea level. He also had the camera mounted on a tripod. Even if that tripod was set at waist height, it's another meter. So we can say that Anthony's claim of 35 feet is incorrect right from the outset. So now we come on to the issue of Google Earth. Is Google Earth accurate? Google Earth itself tells you it's not accurate. It claims that elevations might be inaccurate by as much as 30 meters in each direction. For any given point, it might be 30 meters higher, it might be 30 meters lower. It's very easy to see how inaccurate Google Earth is. The hand here indicates the elevation. And if you look down on the bottom right corner of the screen, down here, it says ELEV has a number in meters. So if we place the hand here, we get an elevation of 8 meters. And if we place the hand here, we get an elevation of 11 meters. And that's what Anthony is claiming, 35 feet. 8 meters, 11 meters. That's a 3-meter difference. So according to Google Earth, the height of this cliff from here down to here is 3 meters. And it doesn't take a genius to spot that that's wrong. Google Earth is not accurate and should not be used as a means of establishing an elevation. Anthony has not only claimed the Google Earth figures, he has claimed that he has been there with a tape measure, or maybe more than one tape measure, and made measurements that support the Google Earth figures. His claim about a point on the cliffs, he was actually asked specifically about this high point on the cliffs. And his response was to say, all you need to know is a 66 feet length made it to the bottom and there was tape left over, considerable tape left over. This point where he took his second video and this point where he took his first video, I dispute that either of them could give a value of less than 66 feet if you measured with a tape measure from the top of the cliff to the beginning of the pebbles on the beach. So if we look at an Ordnance Survey map of the area, this is the area where he took his first video, and this is the area where he took his second video. Contour lines are at 5-meter intervals, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 meters above average sea level for his first video. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, over 30 meters where he took his second video. How much are those heights? In feet, 25 meters is 82 feet, and 30 meters is 98 feet, 98 and a half feet. That's just the heights from the Ordnance Survey map. We also have to add onto that the height of the tripod and the height of the actual sea level, because these contour lines are based on mean sea level. Anthony has claimed heights matching Google Earth, he has claimed to go with a tape measure and gain measurements that support the Google Earth heights. I don't think his measurements with the tape can possibly support the Google Earth heights. And finally, I'd like to talk about this one point here. And I made an estimate. The camera height was about 40 feet above what the actual height of the sea was at that time, based on available information, particularly two sets of available information. The first set is a measurement of the height of steps up to here, a height of further steps up to the tea house, and a height from the level of the tea house up to here. And this gives us a measurement between this point on the beach and the level here. And that measurement comes to in excess of 30 feet. The sea level was lower than this point here. So I have added a few feet on for the difference in height from here to where the sea actually was. And I also added on 3 feet for the height of the tripod. So that's one piece of information. The measurements actually made at the site itself. The second piece of information is, of course, the Ordnance Survey map, which shows 5, 10, 15 meter elevation to here. That's 15 meters above average sea level, but we know the tide was not out halfway. It was less than halfway out. It was between high tide and a halfway point. We are somewhere between 10 meters and 15 meters, plus a meter for the tripod height. So splitting the difference, we'll say somewhere around 12.5 meters. And again, if we go to the Metabunk and use it as a converter, we put in 12.5 meters, we get 41 feet. Anthony Riley has claimed to have measured this without specifying how he measured it as 29 feet. That figure of 29 feet is in rough agreement with Google Earth, which has a figure of 8 meters or 26 feet for this height. But we know Google Earth is inaccurate for that sort of elevation. But he claims also to have measured this with a tape measure. So if he's measured this with a tape measure, what did he measure and how did he calculate the vertical height? Please, can you give a specific, clear answer? Better still, show us video or photographic evidence showing clearly what you have measured and what measurements you obtained. If you don't have the video or don't wish to present the video, at least make it absolutely clear what you are claiming. You've claimed this is 29 feet above the actual sea level at the time. I dispute that. You have claimed on the basis of Google Earth that this is 35 feet above the actual sea level at the time you shot your video. Again, that is demonstrably wrong. I would place it more than twice the heights that you have claimed there. And finally, you've made assorted claims about the height of this. Not least, you've claimed that this height is exactly the same as this height, which is very obviously wrong. Even Google Earth doesn't claim that. But you have made a number of claims which seem to relate to this, claiming that this is less than 66 feet. And I dispute that anyone who has taken a tape measure to this point and tried to measure the height of the slope here could possibly conclude that it is less than 66 feet. I would love to know what you measured. I would love to know how you measured it. And I would love to know precisely what your claims are for those elevations and what your claims are for the observations that you made. Your original observation, based on the video shot from here, was that you could see Ireland. You, I believe, have now been convinced that what you can see is the Isle of Man. And you are now claiming that you should not be able to see that part of the Isle of Man from this point. I have shown that you most certainly should see the Isle of Man from that point. There have also been claims made about the Malgold Lighthouse. I'm in the middle of making a series of videos about that. Part of it can be seen from this point on the cliff. Depending on the particular tide conditions, you can see more or less of it. And that's exactly what the Spheroid Earth model predicts. You cannot see the Malgold Lighthouse from this point on the cliff. I have been unable to see it even at low tide. And that is, again, exactly what the Spheroid Earth model predicts. let's see exactly what claims you want to make about your Isle of Man videos now that you have accepted that they are indeed videos of the Isle of Man, and what claims you're making about the elevations of you as observer when you shot those videos. Determining what is true about reality means gathering as accurate information as we possibly can. The videos you have shot show accurately what the camera was able to detect. But in order to make any conclusion about whether that supports a flat Earth or a spheroid Earth means knowing what the observer heights actually were. So Anthony, help everybody out here. Be completely open with what you actually have measured and what you have actually seen. And then we'll be able to examine that and see whether it supports a spheroid Earth or a flat Earth.